A very good morning to you and welcome to the best way to have your cup of coffee. And if you've just tuned in, well, this is the best part because I'll be letting you know what is happening as far as the newspapers are concerned. Speaking of which, you can dial right now *550*4# and get your copy of the People Daily for only 10 shillings. No application needed and no data. Let's check out what it says. Between a rock and a hard place, that is the headline. What are we talking about? The Deputy President, of course, had a presser yesterday, which we shall be delving into in a couple of minutes. But just to let you know, Ruto is under siege from his supporters who insist that he must lead a no vote, but he still insists on consensus, even as BBI team dismisses his new demands. Our story is on page 4 to 5 of the People Daily. You can see there we have the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Musalia Mudavadi from ANC, and Francis Atwoli, who obviously are giving their voice as far as this conversation is concerned. And a lot of people are actually asking which way is the Deputy President leaning on. Is it a yes? Is it a no? Is it a maybe? Is he on the fence? Well, let's take a look at that and much more as far as page 4 and 5 is concerned. And still on this page, hope as trucks start delivering vaccine to the United Kingdom. About 800,000 vaccines will be delivered starting next week. The UK will be getting the injection first. This is one from Pfizer, and it's said to be about 95% efficient as far as blocking or controlling the coronavirus is concerned against infection. It is not a cure. It is a vaccine against infection. And also trouble for varsity students after HELB slashes loan amount. Now, amount has been reduced by 8,000 because of COVID-19 hardships. Well, that's a really bad situation, if you ask me, considering I was a student once, and actually HELB did come through for me. Going on to the next one, the Daily Nation says, yes or no, Ruto sets BBI terms. And on page 4, the Deputy President blew hot and cold yesterday as he outlined conditions for a non-contested, non-divisive referendum, which the Raila camp immediately laughed off. Well, again, setting the tone for our conversation today, but on the extreme right, prepare for hard times ahead, says the Treasury CS Ukur Yatani, and he has warned of tough times ahead that could lead to delayed disbursement of money for state operations, as Kenya's debt hits 7.1 trillion Kenya shillings. Still on the paper, beating the virus, hope in the air as UK rolls out COVID-19. Again, like we said, 800,000 doses of Pfizer Biotech coronavirus vaccine will be available in the United Kingdom from next week, according to the UK government. And at the very top, we do see that more paying as university fees to rise threefold. Now, state allows vice chancellors to raise undergraduate degree fees from the current 16,000 to 48,000 per year. That story is on page 3. Again, not good news for anyone looking to join the university. All right, and still on the front page there, you can see the show of might. That is a caption as far as the Daily Nation is concerned, setting the tone for today's conversation, which I will be introducing shortly. All right, moving on to the Standard. DP at a crossroads. That is a question, or rather that is what they're captioning as far as this is concerned. Is it a yes or a no for BBI? After a 5-hour meeting with MPs and governors allied to him, Ruto emerges to demand more changes to the Constitutional Amendment Bill, but Secretariat co-chair Junet Mohammed dismisses move as time-barred. The whole story is on page 6. And at the very top, again, varsity fees shocker for parents and students. Full story on page 2, as HELB comes in to say they are slashing fees. And of course, the universities allowed to multiply your tuition fee times 3. Not good if you ask me, but still there. Billion-dollar name at the heart of ownership mega battle. SportPesa is what we're talking about. And directors of Milestone Gaming Limited appear before the Betting Control and Licensing Board today on the ownership, structure and use of SportPesa brand. At the very bottom, let's talk about your health. Delicious meat made in a lab now put on sale. Cultured meat produced without the slaughter of an animal has been approved for sale by a regulatory authority for the first time. The question is it bad or is it good? Living costs, what a weakening shilling means to Kenya. That story is on page 32 on the business pullout. And lastly, on the Star, Ruto tough demands heads to no campaign. Well, they seem to have known the Deputy President's mind, and that is what they're trying to say here, that he is already on the no campaign. But has he actually said it? We'll be talking about that again. And they say that he wants restoration of 47 women representatives elected to National Assembly. That story is on page 4 to 5. And you can see there a couple of individuals with placards, I am for BBI, and so on and so forth. You can also check at the very top there, top cop must okay arrest of MPs and senators in bizarre order. The more equal is what it says. Get the full story on page 2 of the Star. And last but not least, if we go to the very bottom there, Kenya Airways pilot dies of COVID-19 in London hospital. A very sad story. For a moment there, Kenyans had forgotten that we are still battling COVID-19, but that story is on page 2. And public universities to triple fees and lay off staff next year. 2021 looks like it's going to be a tougher year than 2020. And on page 7, the puzzle of 30-day-old company that bagged 1 billion KEMSA tender. If you do remember the COVID millionaire as well, that story is on page 7. And last but not least, Wycliffe Muga, Kenya now free to ignore opinion polls. That story is on page 20. Dial *550*4# to get your copy of the People Daily so that you can join the conversation. Is it between a rock and a hard place? The show starts right now. All right, now, Deputy President William Ruto's move to support the BBI document with conditions for more amendments places him on a collision course with President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, who have continually insisted that no more amendments would be made to the document. Now, Ruto's haphazard support for the document has been interpreted by some in the political quarters as a leading no campaign in the upcoming referendum, with the practicality of a multiple-choice referendum during the 2022 general election put into question. And as Angela Chero reports, Ruto expressed his concerns on the dwindling economy occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, saying that the government should channel the 14 billion shillings set to be used in the referendum towards fighting the pandemic.
Deputy President William Ruto has drawn a battle line, vowing to push further amendments to the Building Bridges initiative, even as its proponents declare that the train had already left the station, with the Secretariat now seeking at least 1 million signatures to validate the document. A few hours of deliberating with 150 members of parliament drawn from different political outfits and 7 governors and other leaders in his current residence. The DP now says he wants the proposed referendum to be structured in a way that will enable Kenyans to vote for specific issues.
There are Kenyans who have no issue with 35% going to the counties, and they want to vote yes. But there is a Kenyan who has a problem with the judiciary ombudsman. He wants to vote no. Why do we force a Kenyan to vote for something he does not want, or to vote against something he wants?
While acknowledging that the gazetted Bill 2020 has captured more issues compared to the report that was earlier launched, at the Bomas of Kenya, Ruto and his team wants the referendum to be held alongside the 2022 general election at no cost.
Our proposal is we should commit every resource that is available towards tackling the corona pandemics, alleviating the serious crisis in our economy. There is a possibility for us to take this referendum together with the election in 2022. We want to offer a discussion. We are not saying that it is cast in stone. We want to be persuaded why.
While the BBI proposal fronted the removal of women representatives, the DP's faction proposes bringing back the 47 women representatives so as to have the 94 elected women in both houses.
Serious matters of how to take the country forward is taking place. And it is important that we have elected women in the National Assembly.
The team further says that it's still pushing for more changes to the Gazette document in order to avoid a contested referendum.
A multiple choice referendum is clearly more appropriate and as provided for in the current bill before Parliament, the referendum bill by the COIC Chair, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni. We feel we should take that route.
In a quick rejoinder, the BBI Secretariat Co-Chair Janet Mohammed hit back at the second-in-command for calling for further amendments to the bill. Janet said Ruto, instead of hiding behind the consensus debate, should come out clearly and say he is leading the no campaign against the referendum. This as the ODM leader Raila Odinga was in Murang'a County for a BBI signature collection exercise.
Sisi tunataka kuleta legacy. What Uhuru and Raila want to bequeath the generations coming of Kenyans. It's a Kenya that is united, a Kenya that is liberated, and a Kenya that is advanced.
Already, ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi, through his Twitter account, has lashed out at the DP, accusing him of taking Kenyans in circles, as the BBI timelines should be adhered to. Angela Cheror.
All right, like I said, that sets the conversation that we're going to be having today. And the topic is basically about the BBI consensus and the way forward. And this is our question of the day. Kindly interact with us as far as this one is concerned. Will the multiple question referendum be suitable for the country? Would a multiple question referendum be suitable for the country? As has been fronted, they want a multiple choice situation whereby you vote on certain issues, and that is why I have today Oliver Karori, advocate of the High Court. Welcome to the show, sir. And we also have Gabriel Mutuma, governance expert. Karibu tena sana.
Good morning, Buvi. How are you doing?
Karibu, niko salama sana kabisa. And all the way from Naivasha via Skype, we have Millie Luanga, governance expert. Millie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And I just want to ask you the same question we're asking Kenyans in regards to the multiple question referendum. Is that going to solve a lot of the problems that we're having right now between the Deputy Prime Minister, or rather the Deputy President and the former Prime Minister and the President?
I think that we need to strike a balance between the importance of the interests of the top leadership and the interests of Kenyans in participating in this process.
Right.
I think the political leadership has had adequate time to engage in politics of the day. They have been talking and discussing, and wananchi are waiting for an opportunity to have their say by going to the referendum. And I say this because I am surprised by the suggestion from our top leader, when it is very clear that Kenya has, Kenyans have proven that going to the ballot with many, many issues to decide is difficult for them. In fact, IEBC has been saying we need to stagger elections. So it's quite surprising.
All right, thank you very much. Oliver, I'll move to you. Having a multiple choice situation at the referendum, is it going to help anyone, considering that it might actually mean that each voter will take a longer period at the ballot, of course, multiplying the number of days maybe we need to do this particular exercise, which already has been very lethargic.
Thank you, Mbuvi. I think when we talk about constitutional timelines, we should not look at the escape route or the door to leave the discussion table. What we need to ask ourselves going forward is what is convenient and what gives us the best results in terms of our constitution and bringing each one's voice to the table. When you talk about a multiple choice kind of question in terms of the referendum, that is the normal situation we should always be in, because the reason is this movie. Why we did not have that in 2010 is because we were repealing a whole document. We were not amending the 1962, the 1964 Constitution, the Lancaster one. We were not repealing that. What we were not amending it, we were just repealing the whole thing. That is why it was just a yes and a no. Why we need, and when you look, there's a doctrine known as the unity of content doctrine, which says you cannot throw the water and the baby. For a simple reason, if I go to a referendum today, maybe my interest as a young man is just on the issues that touch on youth. Or maybe my interest as a man who has a lot of other interest in devolution is anything that advances that. You see, it gives me an opportunity to choose one and leave the others. And it is my democratic right, because look at it this way. Why will I be voting for one vote on something that touches on data privacy, human rights, everything, you see? And that goes to the heart of Article 1 of the Constitution, the sovereignty of the people, the power of the people to decide. By lumping these things together in one document, it lowers the premium of the sovereignty of the people. The other thing is this: if people are supposed to decide, that should be given the highest degree possible. And the highest degree possible of allowing people to decide is to make sure that the issues are broken down to the lowest possible level, so that each Kenyan can understand what they are doing. Why we are saying that, why most of these people find it appropriate to say that this process Kenyans might not understand, is for a simple reason, Mbuvi.
Yes.
We are mixing the juice and the burgers and the roots of the sugarcane in one pot. That is why we can't have a juice. For a simple reason, we started by signature collection instead of launching civic education.
All right.
So when you do not have enough civic education and you are amending 78 articles of the Constitution, the problem will be this: if you are tomorrow to have the multiple choice kind of a referendum, Kenyans will not understand. And that those people who are fashioning the issue of understanding and time have a point. But the problem is that point is because of lack of proper procedural planning on the part of the promoters of BBI. Because one, they ought to have done proper civic education. We ought to have had even radio jingles and TV ads for people to understand, broken down. Let's say in devolution, we are amending this and this to achieve these ends. In terms of governance, we are amending this chapter, chapter 10 or is it 9, to achieve this and that. You see, so that it is broken down. And even to go further to our 43 ethnic groups, so that people can understand BBI properly. So if that was to be done, a multiple choice approach will deliver the desirable results. And the other thing that we need to ask ourselves is this: we cannot be telling people just collect signatures for that which they don't know. Signatures collected under duress can be voided by a court of law. So the promoters of BBI and those who are hawking the BBI in the village streets ought to know that even if 1 or 2 signatures were to be gotten through coercion, it might affect the whole process, because we will have to stop and say what other signatures were gotten through coercion. And that's why I see them putting the whole process into danger by using government and writing letters, PSS writing letters to these guys. It goes back to the fundamental problem, and that question that Kifutha Kibwana has asked the Supreme Court. Can government, through a popular initiative, change the Constitution?
All right, just hold on. Gabriel, I had you talking to one of my colleagues saying that you actually think this might be the best direction in terms of multiple questions.
It could, and the reason why I say this is because of 2 things. One, we need to ask ourselves, what have we agreed on, right? What are the things that we all agree, right? Most of us, even without starting to spray the yeses or nos, or whether it will be a consensus or whatever it will be, we need to ask, in this BBI, what are some of the things that we all agree on in unison, and then we put them aside. What are the items that we do not agree on? Then how do we go about the things that we do not agree upon? Then we see whether we can have an answer as to that. What I'm afraid, Mbuvi, is where we are heading. And this is what I feel will happen. One, you have the proponents of BBI who have come out said, you know what, we are done with the document. We are already collecting signatures. It's a done deal. We are not going to open it again. Here you have the other camp led by Honorable William Ruto, who said, no, we still feel we can get to a point where there is full consensus that we don't have a yes or a no. In my own view, I think we are heading to a yes or a no kind of referendum. And if we arrive at that, my worry is that many people will not have read the BBI document. So there is need not only to popularize the document by saying there is a referendum coming, but allowing people, and I don't know how we are going to do this, because myself, included who, have read this BBI document. We need to find a way how Mama Mbogo will be quite edified to understand that which is contained there in that report and to make a very edified choice toward that document. I feel that's where it is going. We may be out here, whole day, the whole night trying to balance things, but I feel we are heading to a yes or a no referendum.
I want to dwell on the civic education part, and Millie, this is where I bring you in again into the conversation. 2 million signatures were collected, I think, as of maybe 2 days ago or so, and they're looking to collect an extra 3 million by tomorrow, Friday, at least from what they said. Do you believe that all these 5 million people have actually read and understood this document, the Mamambogas and the Boda Boda guys? Because I have interacted with individuals who cannot read or write, and they are people of, the age of voting. So do you think that we might be missing a step as far as civic education is concerned, and maybe take a break right now and do it again?
One of the things we often say is that in Kenya, people are very politically aware. And even the taximan who will pick you, you have arrived, will be very politically aware, will be able to engage with you in a discussion in a very robust manner. So to assume that Kenyans have not been engaged with the process that has been ongoing for 2 years, that they have not been key issues, they may not have read the nitty-gritty of it, the details of it, but to be aware of the key clauses imply or portend in as far as the process is concerned. Because many Kenyans have been engaged with the process, the discussion has been ongoing. In fact, like Honorable Mudavadi said, we need to move on. We've been on BBI for 2 years. Everybody BBI and nothing else but BBI. I think that they are aware. I don't think that they have been appending their signatures because they are foolish or because they don't know why they are appending. They have been appending their because they generally believe in why it is important to support that document. So that would be on that.
Okay. Oliver, again, Millie, sorry about that. Just hold on as we fix the connection there. But Oliver, 2 million Kenyans already have appended their signature on this one. And yet we haven't seen anyone, like you had said, doing the jingles and doing TV programs, whether it's the president or the deputy president or even the former prime minister and all their lieutenants. No one is telling us anything about anything. Are Kenyans going to find out that they were duped at the end of this whole process? Because we have this camp of 146 MPs plus 7 governors saying that they want a consensus, some of them saying no, and then we have another divide saying something absolutely different. Will Kenyans wake up after a referendum and be like, what did we do?
The old adage goes, Mbuvi, that every time you look at the leader, blame the voters. So we have what we call the voters' remorse in this country. We are just given the tialala, tibim, komera, wembe, ni ule kind of slogans. We vote in slogans. And then a month after the voting in for slogans, we realize, wait a minute, we were duped into voting in the wrong people. That is why you find all manner of people in our parliament and in leadership space, from just drug dealers, lazy people, all manner of people who cannot stand in a podium somewhere and even mentor anybody. The same is happening with BBI. We are just being told, just sign. And Kenyans in their usual manner, nobody is asking anything. Yesterday I saw in the local daily somebody asking a very useless question, or I don't know how to describe the question.
Which was?
The question was, why are we having a signature drive with no money? Instead of asking, why are we having a signature drive with no content? Because the question ought to be, we ought to be seeing, as much as we are seeing people collecting signatures, we ought to see people doing civic education. And the other thing on those who are asking about the issue of whether this is the end of civic education or not, there are two still other phases where this document will also be taken to the public. After this signature collection and hoping that the 2 million signatures is not bluff, this one will be taken to the county assemblies. that is the only hope I have for Kenya. The only place I see hope for Kenyans now is that at the county assembly level, maybe the MCAs will take time and take the document to the people. But as it is now, Mbuvi, we do not know whether even people have copies. I was in the village over the weekend.
Yes.
When you talk about BBI, we were told that one ni ya wale watu wako na simu ya internet. Is that how you want to describe a process of amending the constitution?
All right. Let's take a short break. And Gabriel, when we return, we still want to look at the way forward because the Deputy President and his show of might, as was captioned in one of the dailies, is that something that the Uhuru and Raila camp need to be afraid of? So do stand by and let us know your thoughts on what we asked you earlier on. Will a multiple question referendum be suitable for you as the person who's going to be voting for this particular amendment bill? Would a multiple question referendum be suitable for the country? Let us know. You can also get your copy of the People Daily by dialing *550*4#. And for only 10 shillings, join the conversation. We'll be right back.